I was among a small group of journalists who got access to the Shura military base in central Israel. Now picture a large army base that's turned into a vast morgue. Refrigerated container after refrigerated container that were opened for our eyes. And when they opened, were just bag after bag after bag after bag of remains. Some of those bags were tiny because they contained little infants. Some of those bags were barely larger than little boxes because that was all that was left of the many people who were charred to death, brutalized by Hamas on October the 7th. Take a look at my ground report from the Shura military base.
These ordinary-looking containers hold the horrors of Hamas. Terrifying proof of the brutality that was unleashed on October 7th.
The blue bag that you see right here is the body of a child. Somebody's kid. I don't know what more proof the world needs for the atrocities that happened.
This is the Shura military base in central Israel, which has been turned into a makeshift morgue. These are the victims of Hamas carnage.
Container upon container holding the remains of hundreds of people who were massacred by the Hamas terrorists on October the 7th. We've just been briefed by dentists, police officers, forensic professionals who say that it's been difficult, and even 18 days after the fact, it's difficult to identify many of these bodies. They believe that with truck after truck bringing in bodies, this is a work that they owe their friends, their loved ones, the relatives of those who are dead, because the basic that they deserve is the beginning of closure. In each one of these containers, there are perhaps tens, hundreds of bodies. Some of them just heads, some of them just ribs, some of them just brains, some of them just dismembered bodies, all simply waiting to be identified, whether by a fingernail or a jawbone. The remnants of October the 7th, all packed in bags, neatly refrigerated in metal containers, because that's what it finally comes down to.
Hundreds still remain unidentified.
Mothers, children, fathers, family members. They have not yet been identified, and their family members are waiting to hear what has happened to them. Some of them are completely charred. Some of them are dismembered, their bodies mutilated by a terrorist organization who acted not just against Israel, but against humanity.
Some of these bags just contain dismembered body parts.
There are bags arriving here with body parts. Some only with a brain, some only with ribs, things that are sick, that no human should see.
Doctors and forensic experts have been working tirelessly to identify bodies. The smell of death hangs heavy in the air.
Point where I want to cry, but I don't know if I can cry because I'm in the middle of a mission, and there are families that are counting on our work in order to be able to bury their loved ones. We have seen every type of mutilation and disgrace to bodies that is possible. Heads chopped off of bodies, pre and post-mortem, children and full families burned, grenade thrown into a bomb shelter to just splatter family all over. I'm sorry for being that graphic, but that's just how it is. And every single time you open a body bag, you have no idea what's going to fall out. A jaw, a tooth, some ligaments, burnt flesh, full families fused together by fire.
This is hands down the hardest thing I have ever experienced in my life, and I speak not just for myself but for my colleagues as well, both dentists, both anyone who's involved here in the police, in the military. This is a Holocaust for us. None of us has ever seen, felt, smelt any of this. The number of people the number of victims of innocent women, children, babies, elderly, the nature of the injuries, of the torture that these people have been through. They have been shot, and they have been axed, and they have been burnt alive, and they have been cut. And this is something that is etched in my mind forever.
This is what Israel wants the world to see.
Nobody had to explain that terrorists committed 9/11, the Twin Towers in New York. No one had to explain the ISIS attack in Paris and the attacks across the globe. But here we are, here I am, opening trailers with bodies. 784 bodies have been identified so far, so that you understand the amount. And 688 have been transferred for burial. These were people's family members. Parents will not hear their kids' laughter. Children will not get to hug their parents or get a kiss goodnight.
Hundreds identified, but several hundreds more still unaccounted for.
These two containers that have just been opened here at the Shura military base contain some of the bodies that have been brought here that are unidentified. Many of them are dismembered, many of them are charred beyond recognition, and a gargantuan effort to identify each and every one of those bodies is currently underway by police, forensic teams, dentists, doctors, and of course, the Israeli Defense Forces. There is a humanitarian operation that's on, keeping in touch with each and every family so that they get closure and are able to bury their loved ones. And this is just two containers. There's an entire lineup of containers all through the Shura military base where bodies are kept. We're told that there are hundreds, perhaps 1,000 bodies that are there, many of them of Israeli soldiers as well, most of them of Israeli civilians. There are several bodies of babies as well, we're told, that are in these containers. They've been kept open for a very, very short time, obviously, because they're refrigerated and they need to be preserved for forensic reasons. But here on India Today, we always show you the frontline story. And this is an image that Israel wants the world to see, to remind the world about the barbarity that was perpetrated by Hamas terrorists on innocent people all across this country. Shiv Arur at the Shura military base in central Israel for India Today.